Sundays. We've been having an air show going on here, and I'm about a mile from the beach. And yesterday it was a blowout, meaning it was so overcast you couldn't even see the planes. But today the skies are clearing, so might have a lot of sonic booms going on today. And my dog Raw might be quite active, so just a fair warning. Good morning, good afternoon, hello wherever you are in the world. Peter, are you in Canada? Is that right? If so, whereabouts in Canada? Curious. My husband's from Canada, but I remember you said you're from Europe as well. Anyways, just curious. I want to start off by putting a poll in the, trying to get fancy here. I want to start off before I even introduce myself because I don't have, let me see, how do I do this? Hi, Michelle, good to see you. I'm going to start a poll, y'all, and see as people start to join in here. And the poll is, diagnosis, do you prefer being told? Do you prefer being told about your experience or I'm just going to leave it like that? Okay, that is the poll. Okay. So I am Kiannaa Sadge and I guide people to peace. I do that through a process called energy psychology, the balancing of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And, I have this gift of seeing, sensing, and feeling incongruence. So it makes me quite proficient in helping people to feel more aligned, at ease, and at peace. The last few weeks I have been introducing a different law because there are the natural laws, and within the natural laws there are other laws, and they all work in unison. We talked about the law of correspondence last week, which is also known as the law of attraction. The biggest distinction I think that most people miss with the law of attraction, otherwise known as the law of correspondence, is that it's not intended for material gain per se. It's intended for, serving humanity, serving the community, being in service to others, and that's how the laws, become more magnified when we're in service. And then before that, I believe, what did we talk? Oh, yes. Last week we talked about the law of structure. And this week we are going to be talking about the law of gender. Intuitive knowledge of spiritual truths said to be possessed by ancient. Yeah, that's perfect, Peter. Thank you for doing that for everyone. I'm going to talk about my perspective on that. And I put it specifically with a diagnosis because a couple days ago, a lot of people in here talk about being diagnosed and they get excited to be diagnosed. And I heard diagnosis or gnosis, and it could be gnosis, nosis, depending on how you pronounce it. And which is really our experience, our spiritual experience, and it's seeing everything as interconnected and a part of our spiritual evolution. And so first I wanted to talk about the law of gender, because the law of gender has been hijacked, okay? We think that gender is male and female, and what it is that is how people want you to think of it, is in terms of sexuality. But it's really a gender principle, meaning we hold both masculine and feminine energies. So I wrote some notes here because I wanted to be sure to cover the law of gender because it applies to all of manifestation, okay? So all of manifestation will have the principles of masculine and feminine energy. It contains the law of polarity, which we haven't gotten to yet, but it does contain the law of polarity. Male and female is mostly in relationship to our physical body, okay? But we also hold masculine and feminine energies. Okay, so when we are running energies, we'll have left and right side, which is typically masculine and feminine, but in our light body, we have axitonial lines, and they cross over, so they're always interconnected, and we want them to be in balance, because when they are balanced, the masculine and feminine energies, or the masculine and feminine principles, when they are in balance, what happens is we have what's called unification. That's where we feel the peace. Unification is where peace really starts to vibrate at a much higher frequency. And that also brings me to something that's very important, which is unity consciousness. Because when we have unity consciousness, we start to feel more complete. And that means less judgment. That means less polarity. That means more alignment. That means more ease, essentially, when we are in unity consciousness. So as Peter put the definition there for Nosis, it's a Hebrew word, okay? And essentially, it's the experience of knowledge, okay? So I picked out what I thought would be most helpful in you knowing about this experience, because it's really the actual embodiment of wisdom. And it's fact-based knowledge of consciousness. Now, I tend not to speak a lot about consciousness here because so many people don't know what consciousness is, because it's an experience. It's not something you think, it's something you experience when you have embodied higher levels of consciousness. Now, I will take questions at the end, but I want to get through this explanation first. So when we have this gnosis and we have our direct experience of the spiritual, it connects us to life. And, I talked a lot about in the past how I consult is that I see, sense, and feel things because I don't see anything as separate from me. So if I'm seeing it out there, I'm using it as a reflection to understand how best to move the group as a collective, not as individuals. And most of the problems that people, leaders, encounter is that they tend to keep things in context of separation. And that more fragments the team or the group into a way that is very difficult for them to come together and unify. And when I say unify, I'm not talking about being in total agreement. I'm talking about working together cohesively. And also, Gnosis is about being the knower of purpose and feeling source energy. And I think, when you're working with groups and teams, it's so it's so much more palatable, the energy, because you can feel how electric groups can be and also how dead they can be. So how do you increase Gnosis? Well, you have to increase self-awareness, self-knowledge, and you can't do that until you take 100% responsibility, right? 100%. That means everything that you're experiencing, you have co-created. And when you fully own that, and that's your commanding of your own energy. Hi, Eric. Good to see you. Hope your move is going smoothly. When you are taking 100% responsibility. You will not fall victim to anything or anyone. You can't be a victim and be taking 100% responsibility. Now, keep that in mind when you hear people, "Hi, Wendy, good to see you here." Keep that in mind when you hear people really aligning to that victimology archetype, because when you are doing that, you are not going to be on the spiritual journey of expansion. Let's just say you will have. We're all having the spiritual journey. One might be of contraction and one might be of expansion, but you want to be in the expansion, and you want to be accessing higher levels of consciousness. Now, I put up a poll, and if you want to take a moment to fill that out. But I think what is so interesting about the poll is because the title of today's video is Diagnosis and Gnosis. And what is a diagnosis? Let's just talk about that. That is so much a part of putting your power in somebody else. It is a deferring of your authority to this thing that they will say that you have, an identifier of your experience, which is counterintuitive of the spiritual experience, because you are the experiencer of the experience, and unless you label it, it doesn't get labeled. And unless the label is of service to humanity in your identity, why would you ever identify with a diagnosis? I don't understand that. To me, hey Daniel, good to see you. Why would you ever allow a diagnosis to determine your experience? To me, that is counterintuitive. That is a reversal of energy. So when we talk about the law of gender holding both polarities, it is going to actually run a reversal in your energy field. So now, sorry, I digress when I read ridiculous comments here. My experience is why I'm doing this video. If you don't want to hear my experience, you can keep going. So when you allow somebody else to be the authority over your body, and you accept a diagnosis, which, by the way, goes in a file that is used against you from that moment until it's not used anymore, until you're dead. That diagnosis sticks with you in the medical system. Now, unfortunately, for many people, they do not know the distinction of their identity and who they truly are. So therefore, they then accept these diagnoses as part of their who they are. No, I've never used ChatGPT. Good question, because I don't want to be any more a part of the matrix that's inorganic. And I would not advise you to do that either. I know people think it's fun and cute, but it's really, it is really dangerous. Okay? Okay, so then, so that doesn't mean that going to a doctor is bad, but it does create a degree of separation. It also creates what's called a seeding. They seed and plant ideas, thoughts, suggestions, and these are seeds. And these things, these thoughts and these suggestions, because you've deferred authority to somebody else, oftentimes I'm going to go ahead and say probably 99.9% of the people that go to a doctor refer to them as an authority. And because you defer authority, oftentimes when you even walk in the building, you weaken your experience of self, because you have now chosen to go outside the self to see about getting remedy when everything can be remedied within yourself. Now, I'm not telling you not to go to a doctor. I mean, you have to listen to your own body. I'm just telling that when we have things that are incongruent, that need healing, that need to be addressed, that is an indicator. It's like an alarm going off within you that needs more of your attention. Now, I have gone to doctors, but I did not defer my authority. They tried to scare me. I felt that they were trying to intimidate me. I thought they were often rude because I didn't accept their opinion as truth. Now, that could be quite frustrating when most 100% of their patients are coming in accepting what they're saying as truth. But I will say that it is to your benefit to dive deep into your own experience to ascertain the wisdom that is needed for your healing. And I think if we had systems available for that, it would be, hey Mel, it would be much easier for us to align within. But because there's not a lot of access and we get a lot of noise, like the chat is a good example of how parasitic energy can work. It's also a good example how unification can bring us together. So that's what I have to say about diagnosis and gnosis. I think they are a polarity. I don't think that has to be 100% the truth, obviously, but I do think there is a lot of polarity. And I think the biggest issue with going outside the self for answers is that we miss what our answer is. And our answer here might be quite different than what is needed. If we had other points of reference that were in the mainstream, we would always deal with diagnoses. Well, that's what most people are dealing with. And Daniel, there is a massive attack on people that present alternatives to the system that diagnoses others. So there's that, and that's why so many people are feeling fragmented and separated from the self and from others. You know, they don't feel like they have community. So I'm just curious what your thoughts. So let's look at this poll right now. Well, this is a really interesting thing. Most people prefer, looking at the poll right now, most people prefer to be told about their experience, which blows my mind. Like, why? I mean, I really want to know why. I'm going to end this poll. Why people want to look outside themselves. We've been conditioned to look outside of the self, and therefore we do not have the spiritual knowing of when we are being manipulated. We don't have the knowingness of the truth frequency. We don't have the experience of consciousness expansion because we're waiting for somebody to tell us what that is. We're waiting for somebody to tell us what peace is. And I know I say I guide people to peace, but I've often thought about, like, most people don't even think peace is possible. So why am I guiding people to the impossible? Well, that's what I do on a regular basis. But people, the masses, believe that that's impossible. How could she help me with anxiety? I own anxiety. and that's true. And Ra agrees. That is true, that most people are owning the identity of anxiety, which is why they struggle to move beyond it. And it's not about discounting your experience. It's about understanding how our experience evolves. It's just so fascinating. I love it. Anyways, I'm here for you and your questions. I know a lot of people don't like these deep dives, and you can see in the chat, people don't really understand what the hell I'm talking about. But I'm here for you anyways, and Eric is here. We got our Wendy and Michelle and Daniel, and Nir is here. I talked Nir last 2 weeks ago. If you go back to every single video I did 2 weeks ago, I talked about the law of attraction. And I even talked about the law of attraction today. And my take on the law of attraction is that it was a mass marketing bonanza to bring the public more into alignment with material gain than spiritual evolution. That's my take. I think most people missed the fact that the law of attraction, or the law of correspondence as it's called, is really about a frequency and sending out signals, because we're doing it all the time. But when we do that in service to humanity, then we become stronger in our unification within. Just looking for questions. Oh, good. Abded left. And Arctic, I already talked about ChatGPT. You're probably one of those people that wears 3D stuff. I would not. ChatGPT, let's talk about that just for a moment. This is my take. You asking, so I'm going to give it to you. No, I do not use it. I never have used it. I'm sure it gives great advice, but what it does is worse, is it takes your critical thinking away from you. Yeah, it takes it away. And when you become weak, then you are overpowered. When you cease to use your own brain to figure things out, read and look around, and that's what these children are contending with, which, by the way, the biggest thing that I heard about for college professors now is checking their students' papers because they're all cheating. This is what it's doing to humanity. Why are they cheating? Because they're in competition. What is competition? It's limitation. What is limitation? It's separation from consciousness. It's separation from spirit, from oneness, from wholeness, from love. It's all of it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's my take. I hope you don't mind my rant. Daniel, this is true. But when we have conscious choice, and when it's not that they don't have any points of reference, it's that they resonate at so low of a frequency, that's all they can access. So it's just like the people that pop on and off here of this chat, they can't hold the consciousness, this level of depth, because it's a resonance. You have to resonate with it. We obviously love it. I love it. But I mean, there are some people that just do not like deep conscious talk and spiritual evolution. They don't want to take responsibility. And that's a low frequency. So they won't even like me. They might not like the way I look. They might say they don't like the way I sound. They might not like anything about me. And that's because I am holding a frequency. Now, do people think that what I am doing is weird? Probably. Is that because I'm weird, or is it because they don't resonate? You know, we can't take things personally because it's all about a frequency. Let's see. Michelle is saying that she's been diagnosed way back in the day and I didn't believe them. They gave me drugs back and figured it out. Oh, you gave them the drugs back and figured it out. Good for you. That takes a lot of strength and inner commitment, Michelle, for sure. Kudos to you. Not easy. And it usually goes against the grain, right? Because your family's like, what are you doing? You're nuts. You should take this. Because they just want you to be stable. And stable, I mean checked out, because then they can do what they're going to do, which is probably not in alignment. Somebody is saying going to a doctor is horrible. Tell yourself you're healing and it will work. The mind is more powerful that way. I think it's the way in which we are moving through life. It's not about all doctors being horrible, although it is hard to find really good ones, I will say that. It's not, but they're ingrained in a system. So they're just people like you and I that have gotten separated from their spirit and themselves, and they bought into a system, and they have been indoctrinated into that system. And so we have to look at us all going through this human experience together, and we're all going to resonate differently, which is beautiful because we all have a different signature. However, our healing is our responsibility. And I will say this also. I have a client who believes everything her doctor says. Everything her doctor says. Even though her doctor has, she believes they're going to heal her. Even though her entire experience in working with this doctor for more than a year has gotten significantly worse. Significantly. But she believes in the authority. And why? She's older. She's been conditioned. That's what they do. This doctor knows more than me. And is that really true? Who is the knower of the body? Who is the knower of the spirit? Your spirit. You are the knower. So only you can know what is working within you. And if you are checked out, no wonder you trust somebody else. Now, that's why we have 55% of y'all that believe that you prefer to be told about your experience. That's very interesting and also quite dangerous. Finn is asking, am I a time traveler? Because I see you in my future. I don't even know what to say about that. Good to see you, Mel. Which country do I live in? I live in the United States. Can't you tell by my accent? And I live in California. If we had other points of reference that were in the mainstream, we would have ways to deal with diagnosis. True. Hi, Zir. Good to see you here. Arctic is saying, I understand your point. I think he's saying, why do you think the matrix is bad? I think the inorganic matrix is bad. The artificial matrix is misaligned, and it takes you further away from God, source energy, creator. So we have the natural laws, and those artificial matrices, and there are many, and that's what causes the reversal in gender. That's what causes the reversal in our energy fields in many ways. Much of what people are suffering from are artificial matrices that they've been hijacked or taken into, went into, didn't know they were in it, and once you're in it, it's hard. And I'll bring it down as simple as the food we eat. Organic or inorganic, which has more nutrients? Are they equal? No. We know they're not equal, but we have both. Both are choices. One is more expensive than another, but they don't taste the same. They might look the same. The inorganic one might look more alluring and pretty than the organic one that's bruised or has scrapes or whatever. But you understand that's also a choosing of a matrix. Those don't feel the same in your body. Your body doesn't resonate at the same frequency with inorganic food as it does with organic food. Now, I'm not a proponent for the food industry. I know what I try to eat to the best of my ability. But here in the United States, they make it very challenging to eat in a way that's healthy. Now, one of the questions I get routinely on here is about whether I'm a vegan or not. And many people who follow an Ayurvedic practice often are vegan, or they come from a country where veganism is more common. Here in the United States, we're not conditioned to be vegan. There are some people that might be, depending on what culture they were raised in their family. But by and large, most of us here have been indoctrinated into the ridiculous lie called the food pyramid. Okay, and so you have to undo your own brainwashing in relationship to how to eat. So for me in particular, when you are carrying a lot of heavy metals in your body, which a lot of people are carrying a lot of heavy metals, it will change how food processes in your body. And when you're running reversal energy, you can eat something that's organic, but your body might perceive it as inorganic. And so that's how messed up reversal energy can be. Is that organic? No. That's coming from that matrix that you're talking about. Okay. And you're considering me not embracing in tech. And, I just say I'm a slow learner. I don't really, it's not really my forte. I think technology is used based on the intention can be fantastic, right? It's all based on intention. But me personally, I would look at what is the energy that's running ChatGPT. Why are they running it? Can you guys hear that? Those are the jets flying over. You can hear Raw too. Here they go. After I'm done talking, I'll take you guys out to see if you want. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Zir. Very nice compliments. I appreciate your compliments, not necessary. I'm really here about the content. I want content that is meaningful. And hi, Sean from New Jersey. And I really do not care about Trump. If you have a question, just put it down. I am going to read them all. Most human beings on planet Earth don't even know that they have a soul. True, I agree 100%. And higher faculties, which I would call higher sensory abilities, because the system is designed to be this way. Yes, Daniel. What system? Why are we being taken away from our organic ways, the truth of who we are? Why are we being led away from the truth frequency? Which, by the way, the old matrix is falling down. But I will also say most people don't know they have a soul because they are not connected to the heart. Once you're connected to the heart, you can feel the soul. Thank you. Okay. Best regards. Hey, Poland. Nice. I made an artificial intelligence count to 100 messages at a time. I don't even know what that means. Okay, Daniel. We have no other reference points in our world than our external reality. There's no self-awareness because we are taught based on what we know on science. Well, we've been taught a lot about science now, haven't we? Don't get me going down that way, Daniel. I'm not against science. I just don't think that science knows a lot about consciousness. Has there been studies on consciousness and energy? Sure. But going back to our own personal experience being the guide, so as a consultant, both for the last 25 years that I've been consulting in leadership, I have always used experiential learning. Back when I learned, that is what changed me. That is what made me understand, oh, now I get it. But most people don't understand the importance of having an experience and understanding it from different perspectives and how we can heal. So for example, when I was in my early 30s, I was told I had a thyroid issue. Take this medicine, this synthetic medicine, by the way, and that'll help you. Did it help? Yeah, it balanced out my levels, but does that teach your body to stay in balance? No. When I started to look at different ways of being and what does the thyroid represent spiritually, and changed in accordance with being authentic and being my own healer, and my thyroid issue went away. I can do as many tests and it's good, and by the way, just because the doctor says it's imbalanced and it needs to be balanced out, that's not teaching your body. Now, had I been as bold as I am now, I would have really asked the endocrinologist more information before taking the medicine. But back in the day, I didn't know anybody that challenged anybody. No one in my family challenged authority except for me. Just comes naturally. But I didn't even know to do it to the doctor because, that was before the internet. We didn't even have email back then. So information is and can be used to our benefit. But it's also been used to bombard people so they can't find the truth. They can't access the truth. They don't even know the truth frequency. They don't even know that truth is a frequency. They think it's something they think, which is crazy. Wait, what do you think? I don't know. Just seeing what you guys think here. Alfonso, welcome. Thank you for being here. I think everything is, okay, here's the question. Sim is asking, do you think any of this technology is being created by God? Creation, creator, source energy, God, consciousness, God energy is at the root of everything. Nothing is created in separation of God. However, when things get manipulated is through the intention. What is that intention of the technology for? And I don't think a lot of people ask themselves or use critical thinking of what's behind the drive for everybody to be on ChatGPT. When all the kids are not smart, they can be easily manipulated. If they don't know they have a spirit, they don't care if their consciousness gets hijacked. Is it because they don't care, or is it because they're ignorant and they don't know? And they don't know that they've gone into consent with something that goes against the natural laws. Hopefully that helped you. Ayurveda is India. Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that. Hello, Pakistan. Zan is new here. Welcome, welcome. This live is about Nosis and Diagnoses. Hi, France. I was just looking at flights to Paris. But I have to say, no, I don't have to say. I'm not going to say. The heart chakra is on. Yes, it is. I work to speak from the heart always. Upcycled, hello. Good to see you here. Any questions? Oh, am I married? Yes, I am, happily. You have to synthesize on the highest frequencies. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but yes, higher frequencies are helpful. But if you're vibrating at a low frequency, and I think there's some data to support that much of the music that people are listening to, and especially young people, is specifically put out at a certain low frequency. Why might that be? Healing using energy is still very rare for me, rare information on anything of the consciousness and metaphysics. It's extremely far out of the mainstream. So much that I argue most people never come across it. It's a resonance. You're going to resonate with it or you're not. And that's, where's the masses? The masses are asleep. The masses have no conscious awareness that every moment is a spiritual experience. They're completely disconnected from it. They will learn, but it might not be in this lifetime. But hopefully they'll learn. Hey, Switzerland. Mick, good to see you. God is a creator and he created us to create. But we are being bullied by the society. Well, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to, he's saying dulled. I said bullied. So I'm going to say dulled, bullied, and manipulated by mainstream. Correct. I'm going to say, I agree, Mick. We come from IA. I'm not sure I know what that is. Morgan, I'm not sure what you're saying here. Some people may not even be aware of Gnosis. Sure, but they are aware that they can have experiences. But we saw from the poll, Peter, that most people want to be told about their experience. The majority of people just in this chat here want to be told about their own experience rather than have their experience. And we have our dear friend Upcycled today saying that they feel miserable. But miserable is an experience, right? You're having an experience. You're naming that experience, Upcycled, as miserable. What if you didn't go into the mind about what the experience was and judge it? What if you were just able to have the experience of what is happening right now? What is happening to me right now that feels incongruent, that feels discordant, that feels off, let's just say, and do some introspection, Upcycled, and really take 100% responsibility for your feeling of you're having. And I wonder how it will shift if you actually feel what needs to be felt, which we're going to go into in more detail tomorrow. Oh, Morgan is saying, yes, I mean that on a multidimensional level. We experience past, present, and future at the same time. Well, now you're getting into timelines, and that is also a point of misunderstanding by many people. But we heal in the present moment because that's all there really is the present moment. So, and if we stay present to the moment, we can heal, which is what I was just offering to Upcycled here, is to not go into judgment, because when we're in the head, when we're in our mind about our experience, like this sucks, I don't want to do this, or this is miserable, I don't feel good, it's easier to do a downward spiral. But when we're just present in the heart, we can feel the pain differently, and we can heal it. So like yesterday, I just felt different than I feel today. Was yesterday better than today? Well, I would say I work every day to be better than yesterday. So yesterday was just yesterday. And what did I learn from that feeling? I learned that I needed to rest, and I listened. So Upcycled, what are you learning from your experience? That's the wisdom. That's Nosis. Morgan is saying it's difficult. What if it wasn't? What if your experience wasn't really difficult to experience, but that your head or your thoughts were telling you it was difficult, so therefore, why I'm going to try? Because your experience about, I don't know about you, but how many of you have had like what you would call a horrible experience, something that you wish didn't happen, and then you ended up learning something very profound from that experience that was unpleasant but needed to get you to where you are now? Yes, Morgan, we need to be here to support each other. Thank you so much for all you're doing, Peter, on these chats. I really appreciate your love. Right back at you, Morgan. Okay, Mick is saying, I really believe the elite and the darkness of this world don't want us to own our true power and how capable we are if we start to understand we're spiritual beings who are capable of much more. Oh, yeah. Well, I remember my first, Mick, my first trip to Peru where I went to go work with this shaman healer. And I had heard about him for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years before I took a trip. But I had a mentor that was going to Peru like every couple of months. And I was like, what the hell are you doing over there? I'm curious. And so she told me what she's doing. I did some research. I wanted to have this experience, and this was to go to work with a shaman healer who was world renowned. I mean, this guy at the time, he was probably in his 60s. Now he's probably in his 90s. He's old, but he's the shaman of this this whole experience of ayahuasca, which I went to go try my hand at. And the first session, although it was crazy difficult, mind-blowingly difficult, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to say that I suffered deeply would be an understatement. Okay, and I'm laughing about it, right? But after one session, and I did 7, after one session, I knew this is exactly why it's outlawed in the United States, because people would absolutely know how powerful they were. You would know it. It wouldn't be a question in your mind. You would absolutely have a knowingness of your experience. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing ayahuasca now. I did this so many years ago. There's way more manipulation spiritually right now on this planet than there ever has been in the history of the world, the history of our existence on this planet. That's how crazy things are right now. And why is that? Because there is higher levels of access to higher levels of consciousness. It's becoming easier to be in spirit. Cool Cat is saying, y'all need Jesus. And what I'm saying, Cool Cat, is Christ consciousness is a consciousness. It's not about going to church. So we already have what we need. Thank you. And I think people that often go to church and say you need Jesus, they're talking about the Bible. And the Bible takes you, unfortunately, into the mind and into an intellectual banter about what is right and what is wrong. And it takes you further away from Gnosis, your own personal experience. I threw my Bible away, Kat. And then somebody say, Joe Root is saying, after church, what should I do tomorrow? It's my birthday, Joe. Happy birthday. Joe, for your birthday, what I would suggest is that you, whatever the number that you're turning, go and find how many lessons. So if you're turning 40, go find 40 lessons that you learned from this last year. And then after you get all your lessons from this last year, make a conscious choice about how you want to live your life differently in this new year moving forward. That's what I would say you should do for your birthday. And do something that makes you feel alive. Don't do coke. I've never done, Isaiah, I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I've never smoked. I don't do any drugs. I just feel love. That's what I do. Consciousness. Oh, Peter says, thank you for these live streams. My pleasure. Really appreciate you. Mick agrees. We agree. All right. Birds of a feather. Is that true? Do birds of a feather really flock together? I would say maybe not. George is saying, you are right. Morgan is saying, you can connect on a high level with or without the heart. Oh, you can. Okay. I don't know how that's going, Morgan. You must know something different than I know. How are you going to do high level consciousness connection without the heart? How do you do that? How do you live without the heart? How do you actually physically live without the heart? You cannot physically or energetically live without the heart. It's the key. It's the access point to the soul, to the spirit, to the non-physical, to expansion. Daniel is saying, Mick, you are speaking some real truth there, man. Yes, our body is, Morgan is saying, our body is a beautiful temple of energy. It's all energy. And, I just started following this girl on Instagram. And I also have read the book by, I think it was Dr. Emoto. He's the one that used to do, he was the first one, and I think he was in the Law of Attraction movie. But he did that whole experiment about water and putting intention into water. And that's really when I got really into intention setting. And I really feel like intention setting, it doesn't get enough attention because it's so absolutely critical for the spiritual journey. It's critical. And yet you don't hear about intention at church. You don't hear about it anywhere. At least I don't. Even in spiritual groups that I have been a part of in the past, they don't even talk about intention. And how are these people operating when they're missing like fundamental keys of growth? And intention setting is that. So I was going on a tangent here, but so this guy, Dr. Emoto, you can read his book or you can go online and check it out. But he basically has intention, he puts it in the water, and then the water changes its frequency, and it gives you an image. We like to see things in the material, right? Water. But we're all water. So if you think about how much water we have in our body, and by the way, most people are dehydrated. Why? 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 So, because they do not understand how we operate. They do not understand plasmic energy. They do not understand crystalline energy. They do not understand that we are energy. So the music we listen to, the TV shows we watch, the people that we surround ourselves around, our family, our environments that may be toxic, it can really be detrimental. And if you're not sure, just do the experiment yourself with a plant. And they even did experiments with a microwave and how it kills. And the microwave, does anybody do research on the microwave? I know people make fun of us because we don't have one in our house. My husband finally bought one, but it's in the garage. But we don't have a microwave because we didn't use the microwave. And we still don't really use it. He uses it for his popcorn. But even that, to me, it doesn't taste good. But it kills all nutrients. So what are we doing? And by the way, you know, going back to organic and inorganic, that's the thing. We need to be aware. Okay. I think I missed some. What do you think happened on the cross 2,000 years ago? I don't think I should answer that, Mick. I don't really want to offend anybody. I know a lot of people have very, very strong beliefs here, and I don't want to upset people unnecessarily. You know, people believe the cross stories, the Bible stories, and I don't have anything against them believing what they believe. But so I don't really want to go into what I believe, because my beliefs really are all in alignment with the natural laws of one, the natural laws of God, source energy, creation. That's what I focus on. And I just know that there is a lot of lies, there's a lot of manipulation, and it's difficult to find the truth when your beliefs that you believe you hold on so tightly to. And, you know, our beliefs are another way, another matrix, right? And if you challenge that, people get defensive. What is defense? That's the ego. And I don't want to trigger people's ego here. I want to open people's hearts. So, Mick, I hope you appreciate that answer and my approach here. Joe Root, okay, let me know. Happy birthday. I'll be interested in hearing what you do that makes you feel most alive, and also your commitment for, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I'm here every single day for the Being In Sync 366 video series. So if you're interested, subscribe, and also put your notifications on, because I don't always come on at the same time. But that birthday recommendation is for anybody who's had a birthday. Kirsten, if you're watching this, that's your assignment if you're willing to take up the challenge for you or anybody else having a birthday this year, and you want a challenge. Can I ask, as a European, what 3 things would make life better for everyone in the U.S.? Well, I don't think this is limited to to the United States. I would say love, self-awareness, and I would say unity consciousness. Those are my 3 things. I'm from the United States. Wendy said, well said about the heart. And Morgan saying, I mean with or without drugs. I don't understand. Sorry. It's okay, Morgan. I just think we're having a miss in communication, but I'm here. And you're here, and that's all that really matters. Chandler says, I look like his mom. Well, I think it's so interesting that people focus. We have such meaningful content going on here, and you guys are focused on what I look like. Although I did take a shower today and do my hair. Hi, Seer. Good to see you. So is your intention reparations for your past? Vlogs is asking. My intention for this video series is, 1, to share about the natural laws, what they are. They are in operation whether people are aware of them or not. And I want to put out new content that I think is meaningful and thoughtful, because that's what I like, and I don't see a lot of that available. Number 3, it's a challenge. To do these videos every single day about the natural laws is really challenging me to dig deep within myself, to give to complete strangers in a way that's accessible to people all around the world. And I will tell you that I did last year go out and put a sign up at a picnic table for anybody, to do free consulting experience, whatever anybody wanted to do. Not even therapy, because I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a doctor. Just being kind to other people. And it's not, people really appreciate that I was out there, but people really don't feel comfortable face to face, I think, and being vulnerable. And so this forum seems to be quite, it seems to be nice for this, I think. I don't know. What do you think? If you're here before, hey, Prince. Michelle agrees. She doesn't use the microwave either. Morgan's saying I experiment on water in the south of France on natural environment, no electricity. I do not consume anything. I do not consume anything. Water, my vitamins, my herbs. If a medication I have to take, without setting an intention. Every single thing that I consume has an intention. And I have my water sitting on a prayer. I just, that's something I've done for years and years and years. Robbie is saying, I love the way you talk and sad to know you have a husband. I forgot. That's funny, sorry. Okay, I don't see that question. Mick, fair. After I wrote the question I wanted to unset. Don't be sorry, Mick. I think it's a fair question. I just don't think that it's as important as what you believe. And what you believe will dictate your experiences. Now, we can sit here and say how dark everything is, how horrible what's happening to humanity, but also know at the same time, like, there are great things happening as well. Yeah, Stum. Everybody has different opinions. Vlogs is saying, what about responsibility? Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Responsibility is 100% yours. You're 100% a co-creator. If you do not take full responsibility, and I would say this is one of the things that leaders struggle with. So going back to how much leadership consulting I've done in the past, I always begin with taking full responsibility, because if you don't take full responsibility and it's your employee's fault and it's your boss's fault, you can't change anything. You can't create change from disempowerment. So responsibility allows you to own self-leadership. That's what I have to say about responsibility. Morgan, thank you. Thank you so much. We hope you come back again. Hey, Tammy from Oregon. Good to see you here. Yay. I love seeing the regulars. It's so fun. Mick says, nice vibe here. Yes. I think after the first 20 to 30 minutes, the noise on the chat goes off and we get some really cool questions usually. But we always get this question, am I a doctor? No, I am not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I do what's called energy psychology. It's a different way of looking at how we operate in our world. Just looking for questions. We are here to experiment as a whole unity. You know, everybody is here for a soul expansion, Morgan, but not everybody is in pure connection with unity within their heart, right? And I had this meditative experience yesterday I'll share with you all. So I've been doing these tea ceremonies, which I absolutely love. And during the tea ceremony, I had this experience where I had this experience where I was seen multidimensionally, and I was seeing my mother. And I believe in the natural laws. I believe in oneness, and I see my clients as whole and complete when they come to me. But my mother, I always saw as whole and complete. But then I was able to switch and see her from her own perspective. And it brought me to tears, because I was shown her and my grandmothers and all the lineage perceiving themselves as broken. Even as they transcend and are in oneness, they're still in the parallel realities having experiences. And, it just really brought home to me that experience, how critical it is. I'm using that word a lot today, but how critical it is for us to claim our energy field as whole, complete, and unified. And I think Morgan's been echoing that in the chat, and I really appreciate that, Morgan, because when we do not claim ourselves as unified, as whole, we will have a very difficult time getting all of our pieces back together for soul unification. And when we don't have unification within our soul matrix, we will have a fragmented experience, and it will be not impossible, but definitely more challenging to experience embodiment of higher consciousness. Do I know about duality and non-duality, and can I explain it? And I think what you're talking about is the law of polarity. And I touched on that a little bit in this stream, but we're talking more about the law of gender. But you know what? I will go into the law of polarity next week. So thank you for that. And so what I do with each of the laws is I explain them at the beginning of each video. So if you want to go back to this video, I explain the law that I'm working with. And then I also try to bring it into the particular topic that I'm talking about, so people understand that we're never operating outside of the natural laws. We are thinking outside of the natural laws. And that thinking issue is changing how we experience. I hope that's helpful. Hi, man. Good to see you here. Really appreciate you all joining in. It's gratifying to observe the increased number of individuals embarking on the journey of self-realization. It's beautiful. It's beautiful and needed. It's nice to be here. It's nice to have you here. Kishore, I don't think I saw your question. If I missed your question, feel free to write it back down. Okay, vlogs. After you conquer, then peace. Well, that is the issue, right? That after you conquer is exactly the division. That is the divide and conquer. That is what we're seeing in the mainstream, which is polarity, right? And it's difficult to experience peace from a space of polarity. Kate is saying, finally, a normal person. Well, Kate, that really depends on normal, right? Your definition of normal. I don't know that I've ever been described as normal by anybody, Kate. So I'm not sure what that says about me or you, Kate. Morgan says, I understand the heart. Thank you for the heart opening on your multidimensional. It's okay. Upcycled. You are very knowledgeable. Thank you for sharing the same with us. Upcycled, I'm wondering if you did the exercise that I gave to you earlier. If you're still here, let us know about not feeling good. And has that shifted for you? Noel, good to see you here. There are times when we feel broken, even if it's temporary. Well, I would say that brokenness, I would also say, is more like a shattered. It's fragments. There's pieces missing, and that's what leads to the feeling broken. So, like, even though I had a perception of my mother as being whole, because that's how I always saw her, you know, she wasn't on the same journey as I am. And our souls had journeyed together, certainly, and we still continue even in the afterlife, right? But to experience her in spirit form, as still seeing herself and perceiving herself as not complete, when we can be completed. And that's really from the now moment, that when she learns, you know, to command her own energies, she won't see or perceive herself as broken. So going back to what you're saying here, Noel, is that a temporary thing in perception, or is it that we just moved on and we never healed that broken aspect? I would offer, Noel, that many times people have been distracted into moving on and not healing those aspects or those fragments, as I'm referring to them, as healed or whole and complete. And that lack of doing that is what causes the splitting mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, which I will go into more detail tomorrow when we talk about emotional pain. Daniel, are there any books written on the natural laws? I'm sure there are. I've had clients tell me about books that or other YouTubes that they found about the natural laws. But I don't have any resource book that I refer to for the natural laws. And I don't think that's a dumb question, but I think, you know, we all have our interpretations of what those laws are and experience of them are. I think it's more important to understand what they are and then apply that to our experience. So when we talk about the law of gender and we talk about Gnosis, when we have a limited perspective of gender as being male and female, we're missing how our light body and how our axonal lines actually create balance. So we're not even aware of our light body. And that's dangerous. And that allows for people to be manipulated. And that also, you know, those masculine and feminine principles are a part of all manifestation, and yet people think that male and female is only about gender. So it's so interesting. Hey, big dogs in Georgia. I want to ask one thing. Why is it so, as we grow as kids, is it simple to ride a bike, but as adults, it's not so simple? Well, I don't know. I rode my bike yesterday. I love the bike. So I think that would be your experience. Upcycled saying, I'm trying to it will take some time, physical pain, plus some mental anxiety, but listening to you is helping you. Good. So upcycled, I would ask you to look at your physical pain. Literally, where is that physical pain? Go into that physical pain, because probably what's happening, this happens to a lot of people who have pain, is when you have physical pain, it kicks up your nervous system, which changes how your chemicals operate, which will also change how you are able to perceive. And it will, which is why you're having mental anxiety. So what I would suggest is you go identify where the pain is, and this is for anybody that's having physical pain. Go into it with your conscious breath. So bring your intention to your heart and then breathe from your heart into that space, wherever that space is, whether it's a headache or a heartache or a leg ache, and just sit there and breathe for, 5 or 10 minutes, just breathing with conscious intention to take your breath into that space and bring light in. Because when we breathe, that is a consciousness. When we do it with intention to connect and bring light in, it will change the pain. So see how that works for you. Big dog, you can go to Kiannaa.com. If you're interested in having a session. HV is saying, how to be satisfied in life. I don't know. I want a great life, so I'm not trying to be satisfied, but I would say, where's your attention? Where's your attention? Answer your question. Where are you giving most of your attention that is causing you dissatisfaction? Why are you not happy in life? Because you don't have what you want? Well, that means you're disconnected from your heart. Marty, congratulations. 21 months sober. Only getting my mental health back about 6 months ago and getting spiritual as well. Well, congratulations, Marty. Not easy to quit old habits, but you're doing it. And you're living it, and it's just moment by moment, day by day, and that is the spiritual journey. That is it. That's Nosis. It's the spiritual wisdom within each moment. Congratulations. Glad to have you here. Hey, Roger. Oh, thank you, Peter. I just saw that. When I get sad and depressed, I go to my 90s playlist, Real Rap, always comes back to check on me. Hey, David, that is a great tool. I give it to every single one of my executives. Every year when we're doing planning, which I'm going to do planning with you all in November. I usually start the planning in November for the end of the year, for next year. But what I will say is having a motivational playlist is a strategy. And so what I'd say is you have a good strategy, because sad and depression is not necessarily a fixed state. It can change. The issue is so many people don't understand that they can influence their states of beingness through music. Now, I would offer to my clients to pay attention to the language of the music that you're using, because oftentimes the words may be put to a beat that seems really cool, but they're saying really negative things. So I would make the recommendation that we check on that. And it's just like Taylor Swift. Her stuff is really poppy, but it's not really positive, even though I enjoy some of her stuff. No, I think most people are content with the low brow lifestyle, actually enjoying the status quo. Well, no. Clearly, people are accustomed to living a particular way. But that's the disconnection, right? It doesn't mean that they're content. Like, I've worked with rich people. I've worked with people that don't have enough money to pay for a full session. what brings joy and happiness has nothing to do with their material existence. So their lifestyle really is a reflection of their willingness to go into their heart, really, you know. Hey, Salvo, good to see you. Oh my God, Ellie is very dramatic. Morgan, playlist is like mantras. I have mantras going all the time, Morgan, in our house. Yeah. It started with my dog. When I would leave my dog, I wanted him to have meditation music. It would keep him calm while I was away. And then I just added to the playlist. So now I have a nice playlist. Oh, somebody is saying that they saw cancer patients who were able to cure their cancer from performing yoga. There's some very powerful kriyas out there, very powerful. I'm from California. My name is Kiannaa. David is saying, yesterday my wife cheated on me. Ouch. David, I'm sorry to hear that. Sounds like you are in the midst of a lot of choices in your lap. Okay, it looks like I made it through all the questions here. So I just want to thank you all for hanging in here with me on this beautiful Sunday. I am here doing these videos every day for the Being in Sync 366 video series. Tomorrow's topic is emotional pain. So if that interests you, please join for that live. Put on your notifications because the time of which I do these videos changes. I try to do them anytime between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have a great community that's developing here. And I just want to say thank you to Oliver and to Peter for helping in the chat. And yeah, so the topic that we are working with is the law of gender. That's the natural law that we're going to be working with the rest of the week. So if you want to do your Google searches and have questions around that, the reason why I chose the law of gender is because that's probably the one that I personally have been weakest on, really diving deep on. So, you know, this is a good refresher for me to share with you all. And yeah, so the law of gender, you might want to do some research on that. And let me think, am I missing anything? I think that's it. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. You guys have been awesome. I'm just reading your comments before I get off because you guys are so sweet. Thank you for your time, Sunflower. Thank you, Morgan. Morgan, so great to be here, have you here. Salvo, good you joined us. Please send our regards to your girlfriend, and sorry you missed us, but check out the recap. The first 20 minutes is really good. I would go back to the beginning today's. I really put out some good content, I think, anyways. Peter always lets me know if it was good or not. And Peter, for some reason, I stopped getting your comments. So I don't understand how they're giving the content. So I used to get comments on every video and they would be emailed to me, but they stopped doing that. So I will go and check comments on videos. If I haven't commented on yours, please put another comment so I get a notification. Thank you so much, y'all. Appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye.